to the counties? Have we gotten the proper value for the money, the king's fortune, a king's ransom that we've sent to the counties?
Well, the last time I checked, Devolution has benefited from 3.6 trillion Kenyan shillings. And by any stretch of imagination, that is a big deal. Now, you've been asking many questions, and I see most of the panelists are tiptoeing. The challenge you have is when you ask whether Devolution has been a success, we need to have very clear parameters. Like, for instance, if you pick one metric, is Devolution a success? Anybody who has served as a governor or as an MCA or a public servant of rank in the county government will say Devolution is a success, not on account of the services they offer Mora or Wanjiro, but because they formed cartels and special interest groups, and they offer themselves contracts and tenders. Majority of the MCAs, when they want resources, they would threaten the governor with impeachment, and they're given contracts, and then they remain calm. And it's on record, a senior public servant of Kenya said that every time you have an election in Kenya, instantly you get 47 billionaires. Anybody who becomes elected as a governor becomes a billionaire, not on account of harnessing the factors of production, but because they sit on resources. That is number one. Number two, and I'm not suggesting that anybody is inside here, but majority of the MCAs who probably cannot afford a cup of tea at a 3-star hotel, but at the moment they become elected, all of a sudden they become billionaires. If you go to the countryside, most of the real estate is owned by people who work with the county governments. So for them, it's really worked very well because their bank balances are very solid. Majority of them now do benchmarking. I mean, they go all over the world. Sometimes you find people from a lakeside city going to do benchmarking on fishing in a place where there is no fish. So really, this devolution is working very well. And then the utilization of resources has not been efficient nor effective, and that is the biggest challenge. And the speaker from Wajiri would confirm that before devolution, majority of the counties in Kenya had no idea what a tarmac road is. In fact, they would say they would see tarmac road when they go to Kenya, meaning the urban areas. But now with the devolution, at least the governors are working, there's a lot of tarmac. But can you imagine, with the levels of impunity, mediocrity and corruption domiciled within the counties, the kind of Maendeleo we have seen, if they were efficient and effective, Kenya would have covered so much. It would have made a lot of ground. Like, for instance, I was born and brought up in Kisii. We've got a beautiful referral hospital, which was not the case before devolution. So right now, when people get sick in the region, they don't need to get a night bus to come to Kenyatta National Hospital for medical attention. But can you imagine what would have happened if the resources were utilized? Now, you've indicated today that there's a governor and a former governor who are in court. I mean, why are they in court? It's simply because of they're behaving like we are in the DRC of Mobutu Sese Seko. There's no difference between their accounts and the county accounts. And this goes back to the MCAs. That for some reason, they don't have capacity or competence. And if they've capacity and competence, they've abandoned the mandate to make sure that they monitor the governor, they oversight the governor. We are told, I don't know whether it's the case, that the first thing a governor does is to cut deals with MCAs so that they don't give him a beating. We understand also that majority of the time when you see MCAs coming up in arms, it's because the governor has refused to give them a bit of the pie. That is when they do oversight. And that is part of the reason why Mr. Raila Odinga was saying that let the MCAs do their work. But you know, the senators said no, because we also understand that also senators, they want a bit of the cake. You recall President Ruto saying that there's a governor who was spotted with 150 million in the precincts of the National Assembly. So one wonders, what was the purpose of that 150 million, Bob? And you'd also remember some said you were told that if you want a bill or a motion to go through the National Assembly, people would be given 10,000 Bob, khaki envelopes in a bathroom. But can you imagine what 150 million can do? And this 150 million is not profit. This is money probably coming from a supplier, coming from a cartel or special interest groups. This is money meant to serve morale. So in a nutshell, devolution in a good part has been a success, but the biggest beneficiaries are the elected leaders within the counties and the public servants within the counties. The amount of money these charges are being leveled upon these guys people are talking about, I mean, as Will had indicated, that in the past there was corruption, but now Mura can see corruption next door. And you're talking about 150 million, you're talking about $1 billion, and it's just amazing. And then the proposal by Mr. Raila Odinga, that probably we have too many counties in Kenya, is typical of the way the Kenyan politicians, take Kenyans for granted. Mr. Raila Odinga has been part and parcel of the constitution-making process. In fact, we give him a good credit for the 2010 constitution. So when did Mr. Raila Odinga realize that in fact 47 counties are so many? When did he realize that? This again points to the level of mischief we have in our politicians, that when things work for their interests, 47 counties are amazing. But if it's not, then they say no, they're not viable.
Interesting, interesting. Dr. Will, I believe your mic